Good evening. It is September 12th, 2024, and I'd like to welcome you to the South Brunswick Board of Education meeting and to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I ask that everybody remain standing for a moment. I'd like to have a moment of silence in memory of the 23rd anniversary of the September 11th attacks, and to also remember those killed in the Appalachia High School shooting. Thank you very much. I'll read the statement of advance notice for this evening. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6, also known as the Sunshine Law, was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies, at which time any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. The primary purpose is for board members to discuss and vote on board business. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the board secretary has caused notice of this meeting 48 hours prior, including date, time, and location, to be posted in the South Brunswick Public Library, the board office, filed with the township clerk, and communicated to the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger. It is also posted on the district website. Mr. Pawlowski, may I have roll call?
Ms. Julie Ferrara.
Present.
Ms. Laura Hernandez. Ms. Deepa Karthik.
Yeah.
Ms. Alicia Khan.
Here.
Mr. Roger Krishna.
Yeah.
Mr. Mike Mitchell.
Present.
Mr. Barry Nathanson.
Here.
Dr. Smitha Raj.
Here.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Pawlowski. May I have a motion and second to approve tonight's agenda? Mr. Mitchell, Dr. Raja, second. All in favor? Any nays? Thank you. Next order of business is board minutes. Board Secretary Mr. Pawlowski's draft of the minutes and executive minutes were posted on the board portal. Are there any changes? That's for August 22nd. No changes? Then the minutes stand as written and are approved. Okay. So, officially, I'm going to welcome our new student board representative, Ms. Samira Tuwatia. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, yay, I did it. So Samira is currently an underclassman representative for Student Council, and she is delighted to have the opportunity to serve both her fellow students and the community in her new role. Outside of school, Samira has dedicated herself for 7 years to being a student volunteer at Hindi USA, teaching young children to read and write in Hindi. She also enjoys doing Indian classical dance and inspiring young children to pursue their interests. In her free time, which I don't know how you do that, Samira enjoys going on runs, debating, and spending time with her family and friends. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Samira. It's all yours.
Wait, would you like me to say
Go
my
ahead.
report?
And your report, yeah. Sorry, I should have been more clear. You may give us your report now, sorry.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Starting off with some school news, students successfully had their first full week of school. Our annual convocation will be held at our auditorium tomorrow afternoon, where we will welcome our class of 2028 to the high school and welcome the class of 2025 to their final year at SBHS. I'm excited to share that our first home football game at Valhalla Stadium will be next Friday, the 20th. Make sure to show up in your best blackout outfits. Activities is so excited to start the year with so many different opportunities for our students. We will be hosting our club fairs on September 24th and 25th, where students will have the chance to familiarize themselves with the variety of clubs our high school offers. Student Council is organizing our yearly Wear Teal Spin the Wheel event to support prostate and ovarian cancer awareness. Students wearing teal will engage in activities and games with the opportunity to win prizes and have fun with the peers for a great cause. Moving on to athletics. The South Brunswick High School football team has gotten off to a good start at 2-0 against the North Brunswick Raiders. Our gymnastics team has started off their season this past Tuesday with the meet against Marlborough. They did not win, but they were able to have one of their highest season opener scores this year. The girls' tennis team started the season ranked number 20 in the state by NJ.com. The team opened up with rival JP Stevens and won their first match of the season 5-0, sweeping all positions. This win helped the team move up to number 19th in the state in the latest NJ.com poll. The marching band will begin its competitive season on Saturday, September 21st at the Hunterdon Central Regional High School, followed by the 44th Annual South Brunswick Tournament of Champions on September 28th at SBHS. The athletic department is excited to announce that they are in the preliminary stages of starting a cricket club competition for the upcoming spring 2025 season. That's all I have for you tonight. Thank you and have a great evening.
Great job. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on. The report of the president. I just have a few items to cover. Please note for the board, again, back to school nights, and if board members plan on being present, please notify the principals and Mr. Fetter appropriately. I also want to make a reminder to the entire board. I need you to ensure that you are checking your emails at least 2 to 3 times a day. Timely communication is crucial for our operation. Additionally, please be aware that when a situation arises, and this is all for the community as well, our superintendent notifies me immediately. Depending on the issue, there may be a delay in sharing information to the board as well to the community. Until Mr. Fetter is completely confident that both students and staff are safe, no communication will ever go out until that is done. We have specific processes that align with laws and regulations, and it is essential for everyone, including the community and parents, to understand that safety is our administration's top priority. Notifications to the community will only be made once we are assured of everyone's safety. In today's world, where information can be disseminated instantaneously, it is critical that Board of Education members refrain from communicating via social media about anything. Unofficial communication can lead to unnecessary confusion and misinformation in the community. I appreciate your attention to these important protocols. Thank you. Next, we will be on the report of the Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Fetter.
Thank you. Welcome to our small audience, but welcome. Sumaira, congratulations, and we're happy to have you here. So it's a year of fun and hearing about the high school. Thank you for being here tonight. So I have another guest tonight. I have to start with the guest. We have a guest. So I'm going to ask everyone to give a welcome to one of our newest assistant principals, Mrs. Stacy Katz. I'm going to talk a little bit first, Stacy. So I like to babble a bit. Stacy is our assistant principal at Brooks Crossing. That's Jamie Macaron with her principal. Stacy was previously at Greenbrook offering instructional support. She's been a member of our district since 1996. Join me in congratulating Stacy to her new role as assistant principal at Brooks Crossing Elementary School.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here, and I appreciate your warm welcome. I am so grateful for this opportunity. I have never lived in South Brunswick, but I do consider South Brunswick my home. I have been here for 26 years, and every school I've ever taught in has been filled with amazing staff, students, families, and a great community. I started my career at Dean's School teaching second grade as a newly engaged teacher, and my class attended my wedding ceremony. I then moved to Monmouth Junction School for 18 years, and during that time I celebrated many milestones, whether it was my professional milestones, my personal milestones, or the milestones of my students. The last 10 years, I have called Greenbrook Elementary my home, where I taught instructional support and learned valuable life lessons from their community, a place where everyone comes together to support the staff, the students, and their families. And now I'm so proud to join the Brooks Crossing School community, where I've met outstanding staff, students, parents, and working with Jamie. I look forward to the school year ahead where we all work together for the success of our students. I'm so lucky to have grown up here in South Brunswick, and I'm really appreciative of the board for accepting this and allowing me to become assistant principal. I'm so appreciative to the administration for bringing me on board, and I look forward to working with everybody. Thanks.
So Stacy impressed years ago, actually. We did our first strategic planning work. Stacy was on the core team, and she's been involved in other district-wide events and always steps up with the best attitude. So when she was Jamie's pick, it was a great way we can finally say yes. Let's see you keep rocking and rolling, because everything she does is fantastic. So only the highest of expectations. Welcome aboard.
I also, on behalf of the board, want to welcome you. Just a quick note, I've known Stacy because she taught my son. And we've known each other since they've been in elementary school at Monmouth Junction. You were and still are a phenomenal member of this administration. You're an amazing teacher, and Brooks Crossing is extremely lucky to have you. Good luck to you.
All right. All right, so we have a few things going on. I just want to first start off, first week went well. It's a lot of build up to the first few days of a school. We're a cyclical, program, and so September brings that, hype from the educator side to the student side to the parent side. Usually very excited as the kids go off to school. But everything went well. Of course, I will talk a little bit tonight about safety and, of course, what happened in Georgia, which I believe was put down as the 200 and something school shooting in a year. 200 plus in a year. So, that's a kind of a crazy number. But we'll talk about that as well. Just also so you're aware, this is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Week. This is the week where National Suicide Prevention Awareness, information on suicide prevention and resources we share with all the district staff. And just so you know, our staff goes through a suicide prevention training. Evelyn, was it every year? It's an every year 2-hour program. And we take it very seriously. We want to be here for our kids when they're in their biggest crisis. Which leads me to safety. So I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are as a district with safety a little bit. And a lot of this was prepared by Jim Conroy. Jim Conroy is our district safety specialist, former chief of police of East Brunswick municipality, and now works for us full time on all things security, interfaces with the police, and interfaces with our buildings on a regular, daily basis. So what we did is we had a situation. Shortly right after I sent out that letter, we had a situation where a student went on social media and made a claim that they were going to come to school with a weapon. That was the claim. That was it. No target. Enough that we take these things very seriously. Through both the urging of the board and the urging of myself, we sent out a notification on this, even though there was no credible threat found by the police or by us. We do that to be transparent. Unfortunately, there's this thing called a cesspool that exists in every town called Facebook. And we have a beauty, as much of a cesspool as any other town, I'm sure, of people that go on there for the sole purpose of causing havoc. And for some reason, which I'll never understand, I will die never understanding why people entertain this. It's bizarre to me, but it continues year after year, day after day. We want to know why our kids are the way they are. Look at the adults. Look at the adults in this town who behave with their own picture sitting right there with their name right there. Don't care. Somehow Facebook brain has caused people to not care. And moderators of the two sites, one site is called Community, one site is called Residence, I think that's really a private site. They could care less. I don't care who they are. You could care less what goes on your site. It is a cesspool of nonsense. There's no fact checking. There's no interest in facts. There's no interest in anything except causing havoc. And what I don't understand, if you have a site called South Brunswick Community, don't you want it to be attractive for someone that might want to think of moving here? I've said this before. If I was moving here and that's the site that I landed on, I'm done. I'm finding another place to live. You would think this district is wrought with every pothole on the planet of life. If you watch that page, community page, 10,000 people on that page. I'm not even on it. I only get told about these things when they involve the schools. I can't imagine what else is said when it doesn't involve the schools. I'm assuming the same nonsense, where people don't care about facts, don't even try. Don't even try. There's lies, direct lies, known lies. There's misunderstandings, miscommunications, and people seeking information with a zero chance of getting it. There's literally a zero chance of getting information. We have someone that went on Facebook the other day and complained about the cost of childcare. Heck, a worthy thing to complain about. Cost of childcare is insane, no question. And then proceeded to go on a litany of falsehoods, misunderstandings, false claims. But the beauty is, let's have 50 other people jump in on that and make some more additional false claims, because that's fun. How it's fun, I don't understand. My brain doesn't work that way. But it's sad. And what it does is it really makes you question, why bother being transparent when that's the reaction of this community? That's a tough one, right? Because we owe it to the community to keep them alert and aware of what's happening. Now, this particular instance wasn't an instance that required much information to be shared. It was a non-issue. However, the timing of it, of course, caused us to want to do that, board members and myself alike. So we sent it out. And of course, that was then, but it's funny, and you got to dissect the post because it's more entertaining that way. You have to look at the people that just start fighting with each other about nothing to do at all with the post itself. It's another Facebook brain syndrome of some kind. I don't understand it. So you had these two people going back and forth at each other, name calling, bully this, bully that. Insane. But people love it. It's like a car crash. You know, you're driving on the road and your road doesn't have a crash, but you're stopped in traffic because everybody's got to look at the car crashing on the side. Facebook, the South Brunswick community page, is a train wreck. It's a car crash waiting to happen. It's sad that that's what we want our community to be. I don't understand it. I can't even say it's not even all of you, because darn it, it is you sometimes. It was this week. It was you. The Board of Education felt, let's jump into the cesspool.
Member,
Truly unbelievable to me.
not all of you.
But we live with it. So I'm going to keep doing the job I do here. I'm going to tell you the facts. You might not like the facts. You might not like my answers. You might not like it at all. And I can live with that. But argue the facts. Argue the challenge you have with the information. Because at least it's real information. And while there's certainly people on the other side, the residence page, that love to say everything we say is false, yet to prove one thing that is false. Just continue to say it's false. It's more fun to say it's false, whether you have proof or not. That's the beauty of social media. Which gets us in trouble with our kids, because our kids are learning, they're growing, and they make mistakes. And they do things that cross the line. And whenever it's going to be a threat, there's no, as you saw in my letter to the community, there's no, we were kidding. I was just joking. I was playing a game. In this particular case, both the parent and student came in with an excuse. They came in with an excuse and wanted the administration to believe that one of the words was misused. It wasn't meant to be that word. It was meant to be the word gold, not Glock, the gun. And if you read the whole rest of the text, it would make absolutely no sense. But what we have right now are we have parents that will defend this. Let's not defend. Let's work together to come up with the best solution to support all the students and the community. So, in true fashion, as the letter told this community, we were not listening to those kind of things at all. They don't register. And it didn't register. There are people on Facebook who want me to tell you the name of a minor. Are you serious? Am I really going to be able to put out the name of a minor? Really? And then get arguing about it? And mean and slanderous about it? Serious? That's what we're coming to? It's not going to help anybody. So no, we're not going to put out the name of a child. No, I didn't put out the school because we were told by our lawyer, as we've been told many times before, what you do is you don't make it identifiable unless there's an actual threat that needs to be addressed. And there was no actual threat, which was said in dark letters multiple times throughout that letter. Didn't seem to matter. And I get that. This is a heightened awareness. People are heightened. I get that. I ask if you're heightened about something, you want information. There were a few people that emailed us directly. Thank you for that. But I'm telling you, if you're looking for fun, Facebook is your perfect place. It is absolutely entertainment. Don't even buy tickets for Six Flags. Roller coasters are nowhere near as fun as watching the car crash that thing is on a regular basis. Especially if the school is mentioned, especially now. Oh my God, now you have the election now, so it should be a ball of fun. Then, of course, you have the national news, which is even more fun at this point. But South Brunswick, I can't worry about national. South Brunswick, I wish there was a way to shut down those sites or make those sites about the things that would help the community. It doesn't help this community for anyone looking to move here. It hurts your property value. Same people, week after week, day after day, and no one seems to care. Just keep throwing more fuel to the fire. It's truly amazing. That's actually why I came today, because I should be home right now. But I feel that just needs to be said. I'll probably have to say it another 100 times before this year's over, unfortunately. But when it comes to safety, we take it very seriously. Our buildings you cannot get into during the day, so they're locked fully around. When a student makes a threat, we are instituting probably something near a 30-plus day ban from entrance except one entrance where you are searched and checked every day. That could be upwards of 30 days or more. That way we are addressing anything. We also heavy on the SEL side, the mental health supports. That's a big part of this. Anything you read about any of these crises, always surrounding a mental health situation. So we are heavy into that. We integrate that with our disciplinary side. It's not just about discipline. We're looking to help a child learn, even when they make what we would consider an egregious mistake. School is not a place where you get, people call for the expulsion of everybody. We don't get to expel. So the reality is we cannot expel a child for a first offense of making a arbitrary claim, which is what happened here. That does not qualify for expulsion. If the district tried to expel, they would lose and then have to pay damages to a family for that. However, if the same child was to do it again, now we're in a different conversation. So we are doing everything we can. Number one is protect. What Mrs. Rogers alluded to is communications come out when they're ready to come out. They interface with police on occasion. I need their sign off. Sometimes there's legal involved, so I need their sign off. It's not so easy as Scott just deciding he's going to tell the world this information. So it follows a process to get there. I'm sorry it's not always as fast as people would like, but we do our best to communicate all the things we can. And when I put out a letter like that, that's the information that's going to be shared. There isn't going to be a follow-up with more information being shared. It doesn't work that way. Now, will there be people that know exactly which student this was? Absolutely, because there are students that saw the original post. But that is not ours to deal with. We don't make those determinations. Everyone who makes any decision knows that the consequences could be that you will be known, you will be caught, you will be dealt with as a result of that. And we're hoping that our school, our parents, starts with our parents, not our kids, our parents, support the kids by making sure they understand these mistakes, these jokes, these jests don't exist in South Brunswick. And when they do, they'll be met with dire consequences on a regular basis. So we have security staff. We have threat assessment teams, which I wrote about. I kind of made that letter about threat assessment. We have threat assessment teams that assess a child when there is a potential or concern for harming self or others. That involves a high level of mental health membership on that team, as well as on the admin side. We try to get to the bottom of what's going on. Why would a kid make a statement like that? What's the reason? And we try to get under the skin of that. As we know, what we heard about Appalachian High School was that particular person had been turned in before. That was already on the radar. And of course, that's scary to hear that. But we're doing everything we can to monitor. Sadly, when you get on a list like that, you're going to be watched. I mean, you're going to be watched. When you say you're going to do something harmful to a school with weapons, you're going to be watched. And I'm hoping our parents fully understand the best way to help a child at this point is not to come in with an excuse that is as ridiculous as it gets. Don't do that. We don't need to find excuses why it happened. It happened. We try to deal with it, make sure nothing else happens in the further. Now, I think this is the second or maybe the third prosecuted father down in Appalachia, prosecuted parent. Well, parents have responsibility for their kids. So, not getting into the politics of it, but you got to look at all of it. So we look at everything and we do the best we can, keep our place safe. We work very tightly with our police. There's an SRO at the high school who lives there. We have 2 other SROs who float around. And then we have Daniel, one of our lieutenants, Juhas, who is around as well. Also, the police have provided us 4 or 5, Jamie, 4 or 5, do you know how many? The new police that are going to be floating around. Did you guys get introduced to any? Your side of town's clean, you're fine. You have Stacy, you're good. But there's 4 or 5 new cops that have been trained that will be stopping in the schools on a regular basis. They are not assigned to us, but they have been instructed to, when they are not on a patrol, they are to be in schools and making their presence known. So that was a new one for this year. So we're excited about that. We're just going to keep going. We're going to keep doing that. We'll keep the families informed, and we're going to do that. So it's sad whenever, you start the year with crazy news of another shooting. And of course that gets everybody riled. Of course it does. Why would it not? We just want to do our best to tell families we do our best to maintain safety here. That is our number one priority above all else. And we have a lot of staff around doing it. So we'll keep moving on that. On the same front, we have another post on Facebook about before and after care costs. Fully support and believe the cost of child care is through the roof. It is through the roof. If you're trying to get a toddler or a baby cared for, it can be up to $2,000 a month in this area for one. And if you have 2, it could be almost close to 4. Our after and before school program is not cheap. There are some facts I want to share because, of course, Facebook takes it to all new levels of insanity. But we used to run the before and after school program as a courtesy to our community, and that meant that the district taxes, the taxes raised by every other person in the community, subsidized the program of other people's child care. Now, when you're not losing money, hand over foot, you kind of survive things. But when it's time, and you have to start going through your process of what is not going to be here next year, we said, what else can we do? We know we still want to support families who need child care. That's a given. But if we keep doing this ourselves at the rates we would have to pay, our prices were about to go through the roof. We had just raised them right after COVID, I think 20% increase. But we just couldn't manage it. Our costs are more expensive than anyone else's costs because if we're doing it ourselves, we have to pay the rates. It's a different rate setup. So we used to have a very big staff. It was on first floor. There were 2 administrators. There were about 4 or 5 secretaries. Kim, I think there's there's just a lot of people down there back in the day. Yeah, full staff running it, and then the people we have to pay, of course, you pay rates. You want to pay good people, and we do. But it was coming to the price we were going to have to charge our families was going to be astronomical, more than what Champions is charging. Now, we do not, so we're factually correct, we do not oversee Champions. Champions is a vendor. Champions uses our space, and they pay rent. Other than that, they run their own show. If someone has a question, they go to Champions. That is who can help them, and unfortunately, if they can't help you, sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is no. Not everybody gets exactly what they want. Unfortunately, we'd love to be able to do that too. But if we were to take this back over, we would be raising everyone's rates, and we don't want to do that. Or we'd have to subsidize again, which we can't afford to do. Nor is it appropriate for, I think, taxpayers to be paying for other people's child care. So we're doing the best we can. We do, when we hear about information with Champions, we will check with them, find out information. All that information was done and found out and shared with the original poster, who, after posting it and being, I think, told 1,000 times, go to someone who can actually help you, not Facebook, because Facebook cannot help you. That person did reach out to me as well. And so that was at least helpful. We can now address the situation. We will not address the things that go up on Facebook. I'll talk about them here for my own entertainment, but there's no way we're going to govern by Facebook. People want to go there for their answers and their information they're sharing, enjoy, but you're not getting the information from us. The board should not be responding, interfacing at all with Facebook nonsense. Even if it's not nonsense, whatever it is, that's not your role or responsibility as a board member. You don't serve as an individual. You all know that. But anyway, as far as before and after care, the one thing that was brought up to us that seemed to make sense was, why can't they charge less money if you're only using it for 3 days or 4 days instead of 5 days? Well, they've done their own math, and their decision is they charge the same from 3, 4, or 5 days. And I understand the thinking, because you can't staff. You still need the same number of staff. It doesn't change your cost of operation to do that, especially if your kids can choose any 3 days they want or any 4 days they want, and the kids are coming on different days. You still need the same number of staff. So I'm assuming that's what their reasoning was. David spoke with them, and they did confirm that they are not in a position right now to do that without raising prices even higher for everybody else. So at this point, unfortunately, the answer to the question we did receive on Champions is, we are not intervening and telling them how to operate. That would just be us operating, and that is not what we do. We did bring it up to them, and if more families are unhappy about a certain thing, they should reach out to them, as I'm sure they will, if there is an issue. As of right now, that closes that issue. As far as safety, we will continue to inform the community. Even though I know what happens when we do, it's still worth it to speak to the 99% of the other people that are just happy to have information and try to do the best they can for their kids, and not look to see how we can take down the whole entire town in the process. With that said, we have back to school nights coming up, and just thank the board for, you guys still are in one of the most thankless positions, and you get to see and hear all these things all the time. And one of the things that comes up sometimes from the board is, what do we do? Like, what happens when a parent comes to us, or the parents are always coming to us? I hate to be the teller of bad news, but that's never going to stop, no matter what chain of command we put in. Parents see a board member, they want to share with somebody. It's normal, and you shouldn't avoid that. All I ask is that once that happens, you share with me that it happened, if there's a question that's coming up. But the other part you do 2 things, is send them to the right place, because you're not the right place. Often I'm not the right place. Send them to the person. If they're having a question about a grade, a board member cannot help with a grade, but the teacher might be able to. And if they've already tried the teacher, you can tell them, all right, well, let's try the assistant principal if it qualifies, or the principal in that case, if you already tried the teacher. But people, it's human nature to go to the highest level they think they can go and trying to get help that way. And it's an important remembrance that them coming to you is a good thing. That means they believe that you can maybe help them. And the best way to help them is to get them into the right place and inform me, so I could help do that from my end as well. That would be my last reminder to the board. And after that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Feder. Before I ask if the board has any comments or questions, I just do want to make two comments. One, this Board of Education will always stand behind its superintendent when it comes to imposing any restrictions regarding any child that causes a problem, such as this one child did. There is zero tolerance for anything like what took place in this district. That at the next business operations meeting, when we do have that meeting, I know that it's being scheduled, I'm going to ask that the chair do a complete review of the policies and softwares in place and to determine if there's anything stricter that can take place, and that would include things of loss of club ability, the loss of athletics, and the loss of National Honor Society. If you are doing something to that extent, there's no place that I feel, and we will get the board's approval on this through the chair, through the committee, for anyone to take place in these activities if you threaten this school district. And finally, I just asked the parents, what did you do before Facebook? Where did you go? You went to the principal. You went to the vice principal. You went to the district website. Think before you act on social media. Think. Go to the principal, go to the vice principal, go to the district website for information. And with that, I'll ask if anyone has any comments or questions from the board to Mr. Feder. Anyone? No. Ms. Karthik?
Yeah, so I just have one comment to make. Firstly, thank you to Mr. Feder for sending out the note on the incident. It was good to get a heads up early in the day about what had happened, and so I'm very glad that we took all measures to sort of resolve that issue. Also, I just want to make a comment. I did hear the frustration in Mr. Feder's voice about board members making comments on Facebook, etc., maybe utilizing it. Rest assured that most of us act very responsibly, right? We're not using Facebook for these kind of sort of responses. That being said, of course, it's not going to be the norm where this administration spends the better part of the day looking at social media and trying to figure out what's happening, because that's not our official mode of communication. If something is happening, if something is bothering a particular family, or a parent, or a caregiver, guardian, the board is always open, approachable. Please come talk to us through the official channels, right? So while I hear the frustration in Mr. Feder's voice because of all of the things that he has to deal with, I want to assure him personally as a board member that there is caution in the way we act, in the way we sort of conduct ourselves. But the reminder is good. It's helpful to have it. But certainly we all understand, the impact social media can have on all of us, and all of us are trying to use it responsibly. So I just want to make sure that, that's sort of understood, and it's not like, we have to be reminded every now and then. And of course, if there are some slip-ups, then, we are all adults and we will all sort of own up to that slip-up. So I think that was my one comment. And the other one was regarding the sort of understanding that, yes, certainly I personally want to make this comment that if people want to use social media to express their views about the school or the administration, those are our First Amendment rights. They're free to do so. But that's not our official sort of channel. So while Mr. Feder has taken the step to address some of these comments, going forward, I think we want to be clear that that's not our, that's not the place where we are going to be sort of looking for feedback and addressing those issues, because then that'll be very difficult for us to sort of, react to everything that's happening out there in the world. There's just too many platforms that it's just unsustainable. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yep. Dr. Raj? Just closer.
Just a more optimistic, to be more optimistic, South Brunswick is actually a very nice town to live, and Facebook it doesn't really reflect the town actually is, or the people that live in South Brunswick. Facebook is just an aberration.
Aberration, yes. Problem as well. Anyone else? All right, moving on. Thank you, Mr. Feder, for your comments. Now we'll be moving on to the board committee reports and liaison reports. For business operations, any update?
Yeah, we moved our meeting to October, so we didn't meet. Just one thing that is more of a liaison thing. The Legislative Committee of New Jersey School Boards has a meeting in October, but it's going to be live, so there's usually not room for outside members, but I just want to make everyone aware. Both our assembly people will be our guests
Great.
in October, so
Great.
look forward to that.
All right. Education committee?
Laura is not here.
No update?
Laura
Oh,
is not
Laura.
here. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry, my apologies. Laura is out ill tonight, and she is our chair, so we'll move on to that. Finance committee. Forgot about that.
The Finance Committee has not met as of yet. So whenever we do meet, I will be glad to share a report with you.
Very good. Thank you.
you.
And policy, you are on. We will, actually, I'm going to,
Can I just
Oh,
sum that,
sorry.
Mike? So finance, just so everyone knows, I'm not sure if I got this to you yet, it's kind of fresh. There's a draft bill done by Vin Gopal, who's a Democrat senator in Monmouth County. His bill is a workup of the funding formula,
Yeah.
as well as some other changes. So, what is today, Thursday? I was there yesterday. A group of us met to go over the bill, and I even invited Senator Zwicker's aide, Kaylee, who's awesome, into the meeting as well. So it was a group of superintendents, the Education Law Center. They're just super smart when it comes to the budget and the formula. NJASA, and that's who was there. And we just created a whole list of feedback we want to give to the bill so that hopefully we're not going to be back in the situation again. There's some stopgap measures in the bill for things like if you're under adequacy, for example, if your local fair share is those issues that you've heard me talk about for the last 3 or 4 years. A lot of those are addressed. There's some key issues in there with how the formula actually functions, which would change the wealth factors from 1 year's to 5-year averages. And that's a giant one, right? That was one of our main ads. As of this minute, transportation is still not in there as far as extraordinary aid for special education, which is unfortunate. But that would be a help. But there is specific language about extraordinary aid and to fund that at 100% in this bill, which would force the issue and not leave it up to governor after governor to decide what percentage of that money will be paid every year. So it's a very good first run. No idea on where it's going to go, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. Being that we were talking about that at finance meeting when we had one, but it's a quick update on that.
Just a quick question. I don't know if you have the answer or not. Are charter schools being addressed in that discussion as well as to the funding and the pay that is happening at the senior levels at charter schools?
Nothing in that bill. This is a bill designed to do one thing, not a bill designed to do 50, because when it starts, it becomes that bill.
Yep.
Julie was actually in the meeting as well. Julie Borst from Save Our Schools was also in the meeting. So anyway,
Thank you.
quick heads up, everybody.
Appreciate it. Moving on to policy, update from policy, and also we'll just jump right in to the reading of the policies. Thank you, Alicia. Ms. Khan, excuse me.
So we met prior to the last board meeting on August 22nd. In attendance was myself, Deepa Karthik, Laura Hernandez, Lisa Rogers, Scott Fetter, David Pulowski, Evelyn Mammon, Suzanne Luckborn, and Kimberly Malloy White. We went over Alert 233 and all the policies that were a part of that, as well as 2 other policies. And we also discussed the potential cell phone usage policy. So for first read, we have policy 0141, board member number and term, policy 2200, curriculum content, Policy 3160, physical examination. Policy 4160, physical examination. Policy 5337, service animals. Policy 5350, student suicide prevention. Policy 8420, emergency and crisis situations. Policy 8467, firearms and weapons. Policy 9181, volunteer athletic coaches and co-curricular activity advisors assistants. Policy 2365, acceptable use of generative artificial intelligence. Policy 9160, public attendance at school events. I ask that my fellow board members please take a look at these policies and email any questions that they may have. Thank you.
Second read will take place at the next meeting. So as Ms. Khan has stated, I highly encourage every board member to review these policies, ask your questions in advance to get the answers. You'll be more than welcome to state the questions that you asked at the next board meeting so the public is aware of the questions that you asked. But this way the answers can be taken care of prior to the board meeting, and those answers then can be communicated to the community. Yes, Barry. Mr. Nathanson.
Just a real quick thing to piggyback something that Scott was saying. So the workshop that's coming up in Atlantic City, there is an app now that you can go on. It shows you what classes are available and meetings and where it is. And I know Lisa and I unfortunately ran into it. If it's in a classroom and you don't get there on time, you will be knocked out. You will not be allowed in the classroom. If it's in the auditorium, it's a different story. Now, I bring that up because this year, Vin Gopal is back on the dais with the majority person, the senator from Newark, and the two Republicans that are there are the two that normally come to the committee, and both of them are well engaged in education. Mm-hmm. It's going to be in the auditorium too, and based on what Scott brought up, I think that's going to be again a interesting thing, especially with Vin there. So I suggest you take a look at that. That is Wednesday afternoon, but don't quote me on the time. But it's in the big auditorium before the guest speaker. The guest speaker is interesting. Mm-hmm. It's someone from Sesame Street that's been there a very long time, and she has a major educational background.
Great.
So she's going to be the guest speaker. So
thank you.
Wanted to mention.
Thank you.
Real quick. Your policy committee had two late additions to our list, the 2460 special education and policy 2468. They're on our agenda. I think, Alicia, you may be working off our original document. So just note, those two are on the agenda as well.
What was it, 2460?
2460 special education and 2468 independent educational evaluations, language updates.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. Anyone else? Nope. Okay, moving on. Public comments. Okay. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. Complete copies of Policy 0167, which govern this portion of the meeting, are available to the public at the auditorium entrance, online, or by contacting the board office. To permit the fair and orderly expression of comments, we ask that participants be recognized by the presiding officer and preface comments by announcing his or her name, place of residence, group affiliation if appropriate, and by completing the sign-in sheet. Please print legibly, or we may be unable to document your name for the permanent record. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic. Mr. Pulowski will indicate when you have 15 seconds remaining. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question individual board members. No discussion between a participant and respondent shall extend the 3-minute time limit. The first public comment is for consent agenda items only. There will be a second opportunity for the public to comment on any matter. Mr. Prowowski, has anyone pre-registered?
We have, yes, we have 2 pre-registrations.
On the
I don't know
consent?
if it's for consent agenda or for public comment on additional or other matters.
Are you the two?
So, yeah.
Just is your topic related to an agenda item or something completely separate?
Safety.
Safety? We good?
I talked about it in my,
Yeah.
on the agenda.
He
but-
mentioned it, so it's on the agenda. It was-
Okay, so we have Anu and Jeet Jaglakar.
Come on up.
Yep, come on up.
If you don't mind, just once again, just state your name, spell it, and print it. Do we have the document up there? Yeah, if you could just,
We have it. We have it.
oh, we have it, right, I'm sorry. You don't need to write it, because you signed up, sorry.
Oops. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Anu Joglekar. This is my husband, Jeet Joglekar. Nice to meet you all. We are new to the district, not new to the community, but it's our child's first year in elementary school. We had some concerns and really more like questions about the safety protocols of the school district. This is maybe stuff that has already been considered by the district, but being that we're new, I thought similar to not going on the Facebook cesspool, better to come to the people that, could actually answer our questions.
Thank you.
So I wanted to know if any of these things have been considered by the board in the district, and if so, what sort of the outcome of that conversation was. Number one was, I understand the doors are locked to all of the schools, but have metal detectors been considered for the school entrances? I also wanted to know about bulletproof glass in the doors and the large windows, because I know, for example, in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, the doors were locked, but the gunman just shot through the window and just walked into the school. I wanted to know about panic buttons for like teachers and staff members that could call the police immediately. I also wondered, for example, in stadiums and concert arenas, people have to have clear bags, right? I don't know if that's ever been considered as a rule for students to bring in clear backpacks or clear lunch bags so that you can see, that they're not bringing anything dangerous in. And finally, I think we talked a little bit about police officers. It sounds like maybe there's 1 or 2 always at the high school, but is it possible to have 1 or 2 stationed at every school at all times? Because I personally, just as a concerned parent, I'm scared to death to send my child to school every day. The state of this country and how frequent school shootings are just terrifying. And while I appreciate all the steps that you guys mentioned, I know that school shootings happen in districts that are doing exactly all this. So just curious to hear what more can be done. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, she covered it. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to address?
If you're comfortable, I will.
Well, why don't you start, and then I'll follow.
I just wrote down a couple of the bullets.
Yeah.
Ooh, bad word. The metal detectors, we have no installed metal detectors. However, if there is a threat of any kind that is made, that is then followed up with daily check-ins that include metal detectors. But we do not have any right now that enter into a building, you have to go through a metal detector. One of the challenges we've come in with that is at the high school, for example, we have upwards of almost 3,000 kids, and so you don't have a one door. You would need the material, then you need the staffing to man them, a new series of protocols and systems. At this point, we have not engaged in that. Financially, it's a very big expense, and I think the district this year is probably going to have to start looking and saying, hey, what has to go because we have to do some of these things. Mm-hmm. Bulletproof glass, we do have it's not bulletproof, however, there is David, can you explain that?
So we have.
David's our business administrator, oversees buildings and grounds.
Okay.
About 7 years ago, we went through and did a vestibule upgrade for all of the entry checkpoints into every school. So there's multiple locked doors and what we call holding tanks for people to come into the buildings. where their IDs are checked. You talked a little bit about panic buttons. They're panic buttons. But the
windows.
bulletproof film exists on windows, and some of our schools has a bulletproof barrier between the sheetrock and the finished wall that allows for protection. So that's considered and put in place when appropriate.
Okay. The panic buttons, we have a program called Raptor that anyone can launch a full lockdown from their phone at any point. Anyone who has any of our staffing can do that. That was a change. When we got here, you were not allowed to do that. Actually, it would only be allowed to be done by the front office. So now it is available for anyone. We have a full system. That does also some other checks. So if you came into the school, you would have your license would have to be processed to make sure there's no reason you shouldn't be in the school. That's all part of the same system.
And you said that's on the phone? Is that?
Sorry?
The Raptor system that's on the phone of the
It's
staff
we
members?
we pay for
Okay.
the system to be completely available. There's also ways to do it otherwise in certain offices, but that's how we do it here. Clear bags is a recent conversation. Actually, you'll see a policy coming out about clear bags for sporting events. As far as the whole school, that actually was recently brought up by a board member to consider. So that's could be one of the things that gets considered as we go through this year.
Okay.
And the last one, the South Brunswick Police Department stationed at schools. It's a fortune for us. We have to pay for that out of pocket. The township doesn't pay for that, so we have to pay for that. That runs right now. We pay $365,000 for 3 full-time officers and a part-time person. Okay. So if we had to go to the 12, it's back to the what do we don't have unlimited funds, so what goes so we can do certain things. But those are rich conversations. I think you asking about these things is intelligent, smart, and helpful for people to hear that people are trying to find out what's the best way to take care of their kids. So thank you very much for coming tonight. You can follow up with emails.
Sure.
And to Dave or myself, and we could spend a little time with you if you want to come in and talk too.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That would be great. I appreciate you going through the points. I do have a couple follow-up questions, but I'll reach out over email.
Yeah, send them over to me. Thank you.
I just want to make a comment. This is one of the things that we're going to be doing at the next business operations meeting, is to go through the safety and security, understanding it thoroughly, and asking if there's any recommendations that could be made, looking at best practices, things of that nature. As Mr. Fetter had mentioned, one of the things that we were looking to do was have a police officer at every school, but unfortunately we can't afford that. Right. We have reached out to the town, and I will, as well as many other people, and you can too, reach out to the town and ask how can the township support the schools in terms of having police officers available. So when you speak with Mr. Fetter, I know that he'll update with you, and he knows that if things need to be pushed, we can do that as well through the community. The board, the administration can only do so much when it comes to the actual township, but there are other options available. So
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking in terms of follow-up questions is, can people chip in money? Because I completely understand fund issues, within the board.
Send me a couple thoughts.
Yeah, I'll shoot you an email. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Guys very much for coming.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate that. Any other registrations?
None.
Nope, can't talk. Sorry. Any other registrations? No?
None.
Anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment? Seeing none, we shall move on. Stacy, or you guys don't? You're good? Okay. Okay. There was one thing on old business. You all received a copy of the goals for 24 to 2025. I received comments from Ms. Karthik as well as Mr. Mitchell. If you two would like to make, if you don't have to, if you don't want to, but if there's anything that you want to say about the goals, because I'd like to move forward with them if possible, we'll do another read. And then if there are no other comments, we'll move to the next meeting to implement the goals as a vote. So Ms. Karthik or Mr. Mitchell, any comments? Do you want to make any comments? It's up to you. You don't have to.
Just pull out the documents, I'll just do that.
I want to wait till the next one. We'll do a motion to accept and vote at the next board meeting. I just want everybody to have a chance, because we did adjust them, and I just want to make sure everybody's okay with them. if you want to just wait and we can do the review, it's up to you. You want to review your points?
Wait on it.
We can wait? Okay, Ms. Karthik, any points?
I don't see my comments in the document. But you see them. You saw them.
I saw the comments, yeah. So I, actually, Mr. Mitchell had the same one. One of them was the same. So I haven't had a chance, for personal reasons, I haven't had a chance to update. So let me do that this weekend and I'll send them out again. And if anybody has any further comments, I'll see if we can incorporate them. And then we will have Mr. Pulaski place this on the agenda for next board meeting for new business to vote on the board goals, okay?
Just give me one minute.
Oh,
sorry.
sure.
Yeah. Let me just pull up. I didn't know, sorry, that we were going to be discussing.
I know,
this, but
it's
all right.
totally, I apologize. I had some issues I had to deal with at home and just didn't get a chance to stay on top of it.
No, that's fine. Did you accept my comments? I don't know why.
No.
Why?
I incorporate, I think, I forgot what I did. I have to go back and look. I think Mr. Mitchell had the same one, and I'm going to incorporate that. Your comment will be incorporated as one of the tactics associated with community knowledge around board responsibilities. That
Right.
was one. That was your comment.
Yeah, one was that. I think the other one was also sort of that we, when we have our meetings and when folks come in, our community members come in and they place either a grievance or a complaint, we have a tracker in place to ensure that those
Right.
have been addressed.
Right.
And then we have closed that communication loop publicly because the community has heard that complaint, and then anybody who's listening in at a later point knows that those complaints or
Yeah.
those points have been addressed.
I think I added that, but forgive me, I don't recall
Yeah.
off the top of my head, but I'll make sure that's in there. I think, because Mr. Feder and I, we had that conversation as well.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure those 2 points, as well as Mr. Mitchell, your points as well. All right, and I'll resend it out, and then we'll vote on it at the next meeting. Any other comments? Great. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so that was old business. Mr. Pulaski, if we can keep that as old business. Thank you. No new business at this time. The next item is the consent agenda walkthrough. Mr. Pulaski.
This evening's agenda is short and sweet. We have a bills list, some transfers, some financials. We have a donation. We're approving some transportation routes for displaced students. We're approving a parental transportation contract. We have some no bids received and recording receipt of no bids received. We're authorizing some disposal of some books. We're awarding an RFP for some mental health services. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Board of Education and the Middlesex County College to do a dual enrollment program. We have expense reimbursement for travel. We have our student field trips, out-of-district placements, some tuition for students that are coming to attend South Brunswick Township schools, and we have a professional services for some students with special needs. Other than that, you have your personnel agenda, really quick, short meeting, or excuse me, short consent agenda this evening. That's my report.
Any comments or
Update.
questions for Mr. Pulaski?
Review.
No comments? No questions? Great.
None?
Oh, yes, Ms. Ferrer.
On the companies we're hiring for mental health, have we had an increase in the need to have more companies hired in the last?
Really, your
2 years?
consent agenda is just approving the contract for that organization to perform mental health services within the district. That couldn't be specific. I can't tell you.
You don't know
whether or
if
not we had
there's an
or
increased
increase or a
need.
decrease
Or we've had,
in the need for that service.
anyone else?
Can you speak a little louder? I can't hear you at all. Yeah, the mic is on. Mike?
It completely slipped my mind. Okay, I'm just going to pull that up. So in the consent agenda, we had the superintendent's recommendation for the mental health services, right? I saw the quote that we received from that one particular, that institute or whatever. Well, it was significantly lower than all the three or four other vendors that came in. Can you tell me why that the difference was so significant?
They all received the same specs.
And it was that it
There
was
was
a
that difference.
big difference actually.
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's why we do what we do.
The other 3 quotes were somewhere in the same region of 100,000 odd, I think, was the, if I recall.
100,
correctly.
109, 123.
Yeah, and then this one was significantly, so I was wondering if there was a difference in the spec itself. There wasn't, it was the same spec.
Same specs. We put the same specs in all of the RFPs.
Wow,
We're not
okay.
allowed to change those
Can't
specs.
change
We have
the
to be very transparent with what services we're requesting.
Yeah, that kind of sort of, caught my eye a little bit, like I was just wondering, okay, good, thanks.
Yeah.
Anyone, just so you know, if you're ever interested in seeing any of the RFPs,
It's all part of the backup.
yeah, it's all, I was just going to say, it's all part of the backup. So the actual writing of the RFP, which the vendors receive, is all in the backup. So you'll see that the RFP is consistent for every single vendor. It's just the way they price their product, basically.
Got it, okay.
All right. Any other comments, questions? All right. May we have a vote?
Yeah, we're going to have to do a little roll call.
Oh, yeah, we have to do roll call, sorry.
I'll move it.
All right, hold on. I need a motion to move. Mr. Nathanson. Second, Dr. Raj. May I have roll call? Why do I always screw that up?
Ms. Julie Ferrara,
Except,
Mrs. Deepa Karthik,
Yes.
Ms. Alicia Khan,
Yes.
Mr. Raja Krishna,
Yes.
Mr. Mike Mitchell. Yes. Mr. Barry Nathanson,
Yes.
Dr. Smita Raj.
Yes.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Okay. This is a second opportunity, moving on, for public comment on any matter. You are reminded of the previous statement made regarding public comments, rules of policy 0167. Do we have any registered comments? Anybody registered? No? Okay. I know, I have to ask if there was anybody registered. Seeing that there's no one registered or no one in the audience, we will move on and close the second public portion of the comments. Before we end, please note our next scheduled Board of Ed meeting is set for Thursday, September 26th. On behalf of the South Brunswick Board of Education, we wish you a good evening. Good night, South Brunswick.